Have you ever stopped to wonder, who exactly is the person listening to my voice right now? I know it sounds like a simple question. You have a name, a birth date, a face you recognize in the mirror every morning. But I want to tell you something that might feel a bit unsettling, perhaps even a little bit shocking. The person you were when you woke up this morning is already gone. Think about it. We move through our lives clutching onto this idea of me, as if it were a solid, unbreakable diamond. We say, this is who I am, this is my personality, these are my truths. We build a fortress around this identity, spending every waking hour defending it, polishing it, and presenting it to the world. But if you look closely, if you really truly look, you'll realize that this self you are trying so hard to protect is not a diamond at all. It's more like a cloud, it's a ghost. It's a beautiful, shimmering illusion that changes the moment you try to touch it. Most of us are exhausted. We feel a heavy, invisible tension in our chests, a sense of stuckness that we can't quite name. We feel like we're failing because we aren't the same person we used to be, or because we can't keep our emotions consistent. But what if I told you that the pain you feel isn't because you are changing? The pain comes from the fact that you are fighting not to. You are trying to freeze a waterfall. You are trying to hold a handful of smoke. Today, I want to take you on a journey into the heart of this mystery. We're going to deconstruct the fortress of you to find a freedom you didn't know was possible. By the end of this story, the heavy weight you've been carrying, the burden of being someone, might just evaporate. But to get there, we have to be brave enough to face the truth of our own movement. If you're ready to let go of the stories that keep you small and discover the lightness of your true flowing nature, please take a moment to subscribe and join our community. Your presence here is a part of this unfolding journey, and I'd love for us to walk this path together. Let's look at the mirror again. You see a face, but behind that face there is a storm of shifting thoughts. Yesterday, you were convinced of one thing. Today, you feel another. An hour ago, you were anxious. Now perhaps you are curious. If you are a fixed thing, then which one are you? The anxious one? The curious one? The one from 10 years ago who didn't know the things you know now? In the ancient wisdom of the East, they often speak of a river. When you stand on the bank, you point and say, that is the Mississippi, or that is the Mekong. It seems stable, it has a name. But if you step into the water, you realize the water touching your skin is new every single microsecond. The river is not a thing. The river is a verb. It is rivering. You are not a noun, my friend. You are a verb. You are an unfolding process, a continuous flow of experiences, memories, and light. The moment you try to name yourself, you've already changed. And in that realization lies a secret so profound it can turn your entire world upside down. Are you ready to see what happens when the river finally stops trying to be a rock? Let's dive deeper. The moment we stop trying to be a rock and allow ourselves to be the river, we hit a strange, invisible wall, the wall of our own making. Low. Why does it feel so heavy? Why do we wake up with a weight on our chests, feeling like we have a reputation to uphold, a character to play, and a history to defend? To understand this, we have to look at the fortress of identity we've spent our entire lives building. Think of your min-lair, one that never sleeps. From the time we are children, our minds begin to collect fragments. A compliment from a teacher, a rejection from a first love, a mistake made in public, a victory on the field. The mind takes these scattered, disconnected moments and stitches them together into a single linear narrative. It says, "This is who I am. I am the smart one. I am the victim. I am the successful one. I am the one who always fails." This story is incredibly seductive big sea of direction. It tells us where we fit in the world. But slowly, almost without noticing, the story becomes a prison. In today's world, this pressure has reached a breaking point every screen and every social interaction that we must have a personal brand. We are encouraged to be consistent, to be authentic, to a version of ourselves we created years ago. We feel this exhausting need to be right, to be respected, and to be understood exactly the way we want to be seen. We carefully curate our masks, making sure every brick in the fortress is in place. "This is how the world should see me," we whisper to ourselves. But here is the hidden tragedy. While you are busy defending the fortress, life hews walls. Reality is fluid. People change, situations shift, global winds blow in directions we never expected. But our identity remains rigid. Tension appears. This is the source of that deep, modern anxiety we all feel. It's not that something is wrong with the world. It's that we are trying to force a changing world to fit into a static story. When someone challenges our opinion, we don't just hear a different perspective. We feel a threat to our very existence. We become defensive, sharp, and closed off. Not because the truth is at stake, but because the image of me is at risk of cracking. We've turned our identity into a jagged rock, and we are clutching it so tightly that our palms are bleeding. We think the rock, we will disappear. We fear that if we aren't someone, we will be nothing. But I want you to consider the invisible walls you've built with your own words. Every time you say, "I'm just not the kind of person who can been a shy person," or "I'm someone who can't forgive," you are laying another brick in your own cell. These aren't just descriptions, they are boundaries. They are the limits of your potential. You have become a prisoner of your own history. You are living a rerun of your life instead of a premiere. The Buddha taught that one of the deepest forms of clinging is the clinging to I. It is the most exhausting job in the world. You have to explain yourself. You have to ensure that today's me matches yesterday's me so that people don't get confused. It is a 24-hour-a-day performance with no intermission and no retirement plan. Can you feel the weight of it? That subtle pressure in your temples, the way your shoulders hunch when you're worried about how you're being perceived? That is the weight of the story. Ending a noun in a world of verbs. The mind tells us that this story is our anchor, keeping us safe in the storm. But an anchor doesn't just keep you from drifting. It keeps you from sailing. It keeps you stuck in the same harbor, watching tea after year. We think we are protecting ourselves, but we are actually just preventing ourselves from being fully alive. What if I told you that the fortress doesn't need a guard? What if I told you that you don't have to be consistent? You don't have to be the version of you that everyone else expects. You don't even have to be the version of yo. When we begin to see that the story of me is just a collection of thoughts, mental events that happen to be occurring right now, the walls start to look a little less solid. The grip starts to loosen. We realize that we've been carrying a heavy suitcase that don't fit us anymore, terrified that if we drop it, we'll be naked. But it's only when we drop the suitcase that we realize we have wings. It is only when the story of who you were fades into the background that the reality of who you are, in this breathing, pulsing, unrepeatable moment, can finally take center stage. So let's stop biography and start being the witness to a miracle. Because the moment you stop trying to be someone, you finally have the space to be everything. Once you drop that heavy suitcase of identity, you don't fall into a void. You fall into the light of pure, unburdened presence. This is where the magic begins. When you stop trying to be the director of your own movie and instead become the silent observer of the screen, the entire nature of reality shifts. In the quiet space where the story of me used to shout, something new emerges, a sense of openness that is as vast as the sky. In Buddhism, we learn a simple but revolutionary skill: to see a thought as just a thought. Imagine you are sitting on the bank of that river we talked about earlier. You see a leaf float by. You don't jump into the water, grab the leaf, and scream, "This leaf is me! I must protect it!" You simply watch it drift. You acknowledge its color, its shape, and its movement, and then you let the current take it away. Your thoughts are those leaves. When a thought arises, perhaps a thought of fear or an old label like "I'm not good enough," you don't have to inhabit it. You can pause, take a breath, and say, there is a thought. In that tiny gap between the thought and your reaction, you find your freedom. You are no longer controlled by the narration of the mind. You are the stillness that hears the noise. And when you step out from behind the labels, your life becomes incredibly flexible. Think about how much more you can experience when you hold on to less. When you aren't the shy person, you don't have to wait for permission to speak. When you aren't the angry person, you don't have to react with fire when someone pushes you. You are no longer bound by the scripts of the past. You are free to respond fresh to the now, based on what is actually happening, not based on who you think you are supposed to be. This is the lightness of being. It's like a heavy mist has lifted, revealing a landscape you've lived in your whole life but never truly saw. You start to see things directly, without the filters of judgment and identity. A sunset isn't just pretty or Instagrammable. It is a raw, vibrating explosion of color that moves through you. A conversation isn't a battle of egos. It's a dance of two flowing rivers meeting for a brief, beautiful moment. You begin to realize that true freedom isn't found in finally knowing who you are. It is found in the joy of not being limited by it. You are a living, breathing, unfolding miracle that cannot be captured by a name or a history. You are not a finished product. You are a continuous creation. So, as we bring this journey to a close, I want you to take a quiet moment with yourself. Look at your hands. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. This life, this specific, unrepeatable moment, is not asking you to define yourself. It isn't asking you to be consistent or impressive or fixed. It is simply asking you to experience it. What if you allowed yourself to change freely? What if you let the river flow without trying to build a dam? The Buddha taught that when we stop holding on to who we are, we finally become who we can be. Something responsive, something alive, something free. You don't have to hold it all together anymore. You can let go. You can breathe. And in that breath, you will find that the self you were so afraid to lose was the only thing standing in the way of your peace. Move with the flow, my friend. The water is fine.